Welcome back, Jose Abreu.
He's back.
He's back on the team and maybe other things. But Jose Abreu's back on the roster. Let's talk about the good things first. Paul, it's nice to see you. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Hope everyone enjoyed their 3-day weekend as much as you can.
But more than anything, I hope that people respected the troops that gave their lives for our country.
Absolutely. I hope you did that.
That's the real meaning.
How did you do that?
Of the weekend. I drank a lot of alcohol.
Same.
Yeah.
I hung out with my cat, my 3-year-old, my wife. Nice. I drank a lot of alcohol.
There you go.
So it was a good weekend. And Jose Abreu, the Astros 2-2 since we left the show on Friday. But Jose Abreu's back. And that's absolutely the biggest story of the Houston Astros right now. That after all the speculation of what it was going to be and what it was going to look like, Dana Brown actually told us the exact truth, that he was going to play 2 games in Sugar Land. He did that. He flew to Seattle. He's with the team. Start of the game, that's baseball. The baseball is going to find you. It doesn't matter what the Astros have done with Jose Abreu. When they would move him down in the lineup before he went to Florida, like where there would be runners in scoring position when he came to the plate. And then yesterday he's back in the lineup and he's back in the field, and what happens? A screamer right at him, and it goes right by him.
And then another hit right by him that he was unable to get. It would have been a more difficult play for him to make, but I thought it was noteworthy that the Space City Home Network broadcast did not show the replay of Abreu's defense there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll never know what happened that fateful night in Seattle, at least for that specific play. But it starts off with his defense looking like not a positive. His first at-bat ends, Joe, with, I felt, some bad luck. That was a hell of a pitch that Miller put low and away from him. He got caught looking. But as you heard coming in a clutch situation, Jose Abreu, like most of the bottom of the order for the Houston Astros, did at least what they were asked to do. He gets that RBI single, and unfortunately they weren't able to do any more damage than in that inning when they just scored 2 runs.
Yeah, and yesterday's a frustrating game, and there's a lot to dive in throughout the weekend, which we'll get to throughout the show. Yesterday is really just an example of, I think, a prime example of what's been wrong with this team. You're 1-5 gets 1 hit in yesterday's game. Framber has the rocky start, but he figures it out. He didn't unravel. He didn't have a mental breakdown. Positives.
It felt like he could have had a mental breakdown and did not, but I do think it's worth noting that the first inning and the second inning, where he allowed 6 hits each, and the 6th inning, where he had 2 wild pitches, were the kind of things that you do not want to see out of Framber Valdez, because you know what it can lead to after that. To his credit, it was a quality start, but it wasn't that quality of a quality start.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense.
3 runs in the first. It could have been multiple in the second. They were able to get out of the second. And they were able to get out of a jam in the 6th. The bats, 2 through 5, 0 for 14.
How do you feel that?
That's why you lost.
Now that Jose Abreu is back on the roster, and we'll see what happens next. We don't know what this platoon is going to really look like with the Astros. We've gotten back and forth responses about timeshare, John Singleton being the primary guy. At least he was for now, according to Dana Brown. But he did say it was Joe Espada's decision. How do you feel like up into this process you feel about the Jose Abreu situation and how the Astros have handled it?
Well, I think now, we're going to find out how well they can take the criticism and take the extra skepticism and scrutiny that's going to come with it. Because, we've heard at times competing takes from Dana Brown, from Joe Espada on what they would like to see out of Abreu and how they plan to handle Abreu when he's back, and the players that have been getting playing time around him, the guy they sent down, and Joey Loperfido. And I'm very curious to see, after one day where it was clear everyone watching the game last night was focusing on one thing and one thing only. Framber's struggles take a backseat. The offense not doing anything 2 through 5 takes a backseat, because all everyone was focused on was Abreu's defense and him at the plate. And it wasn't a bad game, but if the struggles happen again, what happens, and how well are the Astros going to be able to withstand the criticism?
Yeah.
And on top of that, how are they going to keep the clubhouse from getting tired of guys who are not worthy of playing time getting playing time. Because if Abreu struggles again, I don't know, even if I like Abreu the most, even if he's my bestie in the clubhouse, I don't know how I can sign off on him playing.
Yeah, it's easier to be Alex Bregman and these guys when he's sent down to Florida and talk about how great of a teammate he is. It's when you feel like your season's turning around. You had won a good amount of baseball games while he was gone. It was your best baseball you've played this season while he was in Florida.
Yeah.
And then if things start to go poorly again, and while a Christian Javier injury that's now happening, Jose Urquidy's not coming back, it seems like. We await to hear answers on both of their MRIs today, what their right forearm discomforts lead to. But I think it's a good point of just what does Abreu do next? And what is the fallout if he's not good? So like up to this point, I'm frustrated with the Jose Abreu situation because Joe Espada and Dana Brown were not there. All they were going on was the word of Jeff Bagwell. And the quick turnaround to these, when you go back to the timeline that we've talked about, where it's Joe Espada, like last Thursday, like 2 Thursdays ago, saying, we don't know. We're waiting to see. Then on that following Sunday, Dana Brown was saying, nope, he's coming back next Friday. And then it was, is he your everyday first baseman? Well, Dana Brown says, I like John Singleton at first base. He's our first baseman, but it's Joe Espada's decision. And they just keep going and going and going. The timeline sped up so fast. It went from nothing to he's back on the team so quickly. It really didn't make logical sense. So my question is what happens next? If he's going 1 for 4 every night with 3 strikeouts, is that good enough for Jose Abreu? What are the expectations for Jose Abreu? My expectations is I'll take last night. I would want more than that, but as long as he's not going 0 for 5 every single night, at least he's not the worst guy on the team at the moment. But I have 0 expectations for Jose Abreu. Last night was fun. It was nice to see him get the RBI single. It would have been nice for the Astros to win that game and get some help from other guys who are supposed to be actually good on this team. But the question is, what happens next?
Yeah, he made contact with the baseball in every single at-bat. He had a foul off in the first at-bat. The third at-bat where he had that soft liner to second base. You thought coming off the bat, if it had a little more juice, okay, maybe that would have been another single for Abreu. But supposedly he has shortened his swing, and he wasn't able to see that he had to shorten his swing. He said that a smorgasbord of Astros hitting coaches made him aware of that. And now from night to night, they're going to have to figure out a way to get him in the lineup, but get some of the same bats that were getting playing time into the lineup. And it's not going to be easy. And I think what's unfortunate about this is that I think Joe Espada is going to get blamed for a lot of this. And it's interesting. You go back to some of his comments specifically about Joey Loperfido getting sent down. And Espada in that moment, you could tell, said, like, he's playing too well to get sent down. It was not easy because I think he's done enough to stay at the major league level. So, he doesn't really have control over this roster. And theoretically, he has control over this lineup. But you're going to have to do a lot of juggling to make his return work in a way that doesn't stop the momentum that you've had in the time he's been gone, where before last night's game, you were 15-10.
Junior Bronco says here on the Twitch, I would bet Abreu starts the next 9 games regardless of performance. Semantics, I'll point out that he'll probably get an off day, but it'll be a scheduled off day, if anything. I tend to agree. He's going to play a lot, and he probably should. Joe Espada said that himself, too. He said, we have to see the adjustments, he has to be on the field. So Jose Abreu probably should play the next, 8 of 9 games. He should be in there consistently because you have to see if these adjustments that he was not aware he needed to make, but now has supposedly made in just less than 30 days, if they're going to mean anything for him this season.
But after a night like John Singleton had last night, where Singleton also had a key hit in that inning. And on top of that, any other ballpark, it's really hard to hit home runs in Seattle. There's the marine layer, all that stuff. He crushed that bomb in the sixth inning to right center field. It looked like it was gone.
Yeah.
Singleton did the bat flip afterwards. Singleton has said that he's got to play regularly. And okay, this is a guy that has been a career minor leaguer, essentially, that's been trying to fight and claw to keep himself in the majors for a while. But I also can see how he's just better as a guy who's going to play every day than as a guy who is coming off of the bench. I think he's 1 for 25 in pinch hit situations over the course of his career.
That's not good.
Definitely not. So last night, you had Fromber on the hill, so you could put Jordan in left field, and you could put Singleton at DH, and you could have Abreu out there at first. That opportunity does not come very often. There's going to be a lot of games where Singleton's sitting on the bench. And it's not like Singleton's blowing the cover up the ball or anything like that. I mean, he's hitting 220-something. But if he plays less, he's going to hit worse. And again, it always goes back to Jose Abreu. And if Jose Abreu, a 37-year-old ex-MVP, got to a point this year where he was saying, there was a point, and I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I couldn't even know how to hit, how to field. Then, I mean, it is totally possible that this happens again. And I feel bad for him having gone through that. Abreu does not seem like a douche, you know? This would be a totally different story if we were talking about another player who had an ego or something like that.
Yes.
He seems to be well-liked in the clubhouse. It is not his fault that the Astros gave him that contract. They gave him that contract, and it is looking bad. But if he can get to a point like that, after a month of baseball when he has been as good as he has been, there is certainly the possibility that this happens again. And when it happens again, what the hell is Joe Espada supposed to do?
It is the complicated question, because you could, just say, forget Chas McCormick. We're just going to play Jordan in left and hope he doesn't run into a wall and doesn't get hurt out there. And Jordan's your left fielder, and Chas is a pinch hit guy because you're not taking Jake Myers out of the lineup, and Singleton's your DH. You could go that path. You can go to what you're saying, where Singleton just doesn't really play a lot. And he's been good enough to where I think that would be a mistake. We have a question here on the text line on the Twitch. Do they even score any runs if Singleton, the Mariners, if Singleton's at first base? I don't know. I mean, to me, that's not a good enough reason why they lost yesterday's game. It's the top of your order. That's really the problem.
14. Jeremy Pena was 0 for 4 with 4 Ks.
Yeah, he was struggling yesterday. But it's not Abreu in the lineup that is the reason why you lost. But to what you were originally saying is that's going to be the focal point of conversation for this show and every fan going forward, and the organization.
No one wants him back except for probably Jeff Bagwell and Jim Crane.
Yep. Anyone else? Anyone else want him back? His parents?
Probably some players in the clubhouse like him, but they want that Jose Abreu
They want to win.
They don't want Jose Abreu, the bad baseball player, back. They want Jose Abreu, the good baseball player, back. And again, it remains to be seen. Last night was a promising sign at the plate. The defense is still not great.
No, not great.